And we're live, Coach. All right, guys. Daniel Chamberlain here, Coaching 101 podcast. We are still at the Texas High School Athletic Director Association Conference.
There you go.
Yep. Joined by Coach Bush. Coach was nice enough to grant me some of his time. We're going to talk a little old school football.
Pretty old school. I'm pretty old.
Coach is he ran the slot T, and he's going to talk about kind of his. How about just an introduction first? We'll start there. So just who are you? Where'd you coach? What are you doing these days?
But Daniel, I live in the Rio Grande Valley now. My son is the new head coach at UTRGV.
Okay.
He's the new head coach there. I've lived down there for the past little over 20 years. But I started coaching in the early 1970s, and I was fortunate enough to coach for Doug Etheridge at Port Neches Groves High School, and that's where I began the introduction into the slot T. And we won the state championship in 1975, beat Odessa Permian in the old Cowboy Stadium. And so I was about 26 years old then and pretty well thought I knew everything since we won a state championship. So I took my first head coaching job up in Dimmitt, Texas, up in the Panhandle of Texas. Went up to the Panhandle, which was quite different for me because about 725 miles from Port Neches Groves to Dimmitt. Played 2 ball games in snow, but won a district championship. First district championship they'd won in many years. And I had the opportunity to go to East Texas. Ex-teacher of mine from high school was a superintendent at Livingston, Texas. So I went to Livingston for about 4 years and had some semblance of success. There was a down program, got it turned around. But then in 1981, I went down to Far San Alamo in deep South Texas. Was one high school then, back in the 80s. Now it's 4 high schools. So we had a lot of kids. Won 2 district championships there and moved 110 miles north, went to Alice. Alice is a big football town. Went to the playoffs several years at Alice. Stayed there 6 years, went to Port Neches Groves. Went to Corpus Christi area, went to Gregory Portland. And at Gregory Portland, we went to the semifinals twice. I stayed there 6 years as well. We went to the semifinals twice. I went back to the Valley to Donna High School, spent 2 years at Donna, and then I went to San Marcos High School in Central Texas and stayed there 8 years, longest I stayed anywhere. San Marcos for 8 years and had a lot of success there. And retired from there in early 2000, 2004, 2005. Took a few years off and then came back and did the rehire at PSJ North. Far San Alamo had divided into 2 schools then. So I took the new school and had some success there. But I won about 275 games over the years. I'm in the Texas High School Coach Association Hall of Honor and the Rio Grande Valley Coaches Association Rio Grande Valley Hall of Fame. So a couple of great honors I've had over the years. And anyway, total of 42 years, 36 years as a head coach, athletic director. And it was a great life. But I'm retired now and working in some different areas. And at UTRGV, I'm the Director of High School Relations for my son, which is a position more than a job. But I get to hang out and watch them and be a part of the program, which is really special.
That's what we're all trying to get to, is retirement and that
But
kind
during
of
those
job.
years, I ran the slot T. The slot T originated, the way we originated was really from an old power eye offense. And from the power eye, some people took that guy in the back of the eye and moved him on, put him on a wing, and then put the halfback over to the other side. But the slot T is that we took the guy in the back of the eye and put him over in a slot where the receiver is, a wide receiver. We call him a swing man. He actually was flexed more in the power eye. But over the years, they would take that slot back and motion him either back to the power eye or about a 3-step motion into more of a straight T. And some other guys, LG Henderson ran this offense from a straight T. And LG had a lot of success at Alice over the years and in New Mexico. He and Doug had coached together with some other guys. Some other guys did it from the wing. Some guys did it from the T, and Doug ran from the slot. And he would motion back to the power eye, motion to the straight tee or run everything back into the slot.
Right.
And the slot tee and the wing tee are basically the same. He moves up one guy up and one guy back, because you move the receiver back and the back up, then you got a wing tee. So running a lot of misdirection, a lot of trap, sweeps, bootleg. We'd get in the what we call the O-sit, which is a slot eye, and would run some ISO out of that. We'd get in the pro where you got a pro eye, where you got the eye with a wing back and also a wide receiver. So those are the things we did over the years. It evolved a lot. Toward the end, I ran a little bit of the jet sweep out of it, a little jet sweep series out of it. And I'd get in some trips formation, what I call the bug eye, and would set the back over on the tight end side with most him and run the jet into that, and would sprint out and throw out of that as well. So not a lot of things I did. And you mentioned the gun now. And I think the first guy to do that was at Wembley, Texas. He got in the gun and pulled the guards, ran the trap, sweeps, and won a state championship at Wembley years ago. So I've been around it all my life, and as it evolved into where everybody runs a spread, people would ask me, why don't you run a spread? I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's 100%
and
correct.
Actually, when more teams began to run the spread, I think it became a real asset to us.
Yeah.
Because those defensive corners used to backpedal and cover those receivers, and now they had to come up and make those pulling guards.
Yeah.
And you work out guys for 3 days to come stab those guards, and by the second half, they weren't doing it anymore.
They don't want no more of that.
Yeah.
It seems like all new football comes from high school in Texas. I was reading the story on the Wishbone come out of Texas, right?
Yeah.
We just doing some research for, I'm an OU guy, graduated University of Oklahoma, and so going back into football and seeing where the Wishbone came out and did some podcast episodes on it and stuff. But it seems like everything that's new comes out of Texas. You guys are just inventing everything down here.
Well, I guarantee you the slot tee has spread. I've seen different things about it, and people have emailed me and from all over the country about the experience with the slot tee, and I've sent tapes and things to people from all over. And I know a lot of the people that have worked for me. I know Liberty Hill here in the state of Texas has won a couple of state championships, and they have, everybody that has run the slot tee, when they go get a head job, they evolve a little bit to fit their personality.
Right.
Liberty Hill was the first guy to start doing it real quick. They'll sprint up the line before you can recognize where the slot is, where the back is, and snap the ball. So there's a lot of innovations. Everybody always evolves a little bit. And I think it's the same thing with the gun. Being able to incorporate the gun and some of the features from that into the slot tee and wing tee has been quite exciting, and everybody will fit their personality to do what they think is right for them and their kids.
I think that's obviously the key to football is being flexible, right? Being able to adapt and to your kids. It's really neat when you can take a scheme like that and you don't have to lose its core. You just bring the next piece in, right? The next evolution to fit that new kid you got that's can really go where maybe you're weak in some places for a year and you can just keep adapting and making things work.
Yeah, you can adjust different parts of it to fit your personnel. If you got a good quarterback, you can do things where the quarterback runs the ball more. If you got a good tailback, the tailback was our speed back, and we'd run a little what we call 8-hole reverse, great play. And if our halfback is kind of our power back. He's more other people's fullback. And my fullback was always a quick, maybe not as big a kid, but real quick, and because we'd pop the trap a lot.
Right.
We kept people honest with the trap. And the real thing about the slot tee is that you got one extra guy on this side of the line. And so if you play us balanced, we're going to run the power into the slot. And if you become unbalanced to the slot, then we can motion that guy back and have a power eye attack back to the other side. So that's a basic concept. And I always run a strong side, quick side. My best blockers on the strong side, the biggest guys.
Yeah.
So we had a strong tackle, strong guard, strong end, and then quick guard, quick tackle, what we call a swing man, is a wide receiver type. And I could always put my best people on your weakest people. I spent a lot of time looking at the defensive personnel, and I'm going to put my best people on your weakest defensive end, weakest defensive tackle. So I was able to focus on that a lot as well.
The strong side, weak side, I learned that from Kenny Simpson. Of course, that's what he does for the gun tee as well. I had a hard time with it in the beginning just because it's different. Like, as a coach, you don't want to have tendencies or whatever. But we do it on defense all the time, right? There's field corners and boundary corners. We got strong linebacker and weak linebacker. Like, we're already flipping people all the time. So it makes sense that you would just flip your O-line if it's...
Yeah, and the real smart defensive people, they would see us break the huddle. When we broke the huddle, they would flop their defense to fit our personnel.
Yeah.
They knew where to put their best defensive tackle and that sort of thing. And, people adjust. But it was always a great challenge to me. And coaching with Doug Etheridge won the state championship. And I asked Doug, I said, Doug, how do you learn to make such good decisions? And Doug thought a minute and he said, bad decisions.
Making a bunch of bad decisions. That's
so
right.
After about 10 years of running this offense, I knew what I was talking about. All those bad calls come back in a heartbeat. When it's 4th and 1 or 3rd and 4, and you remember those. There's some plays, you try to develop a new play, and there's a lot of times I did, and then I'd come back and tear it up and throw it out of the playbook because I remember that's a bad play. But you learn how to adjust your offense with your years of experience. And the guys in the press box, I always say you got $10,000 worth of headphones there and you get about 10 cents information.
Yeah.
Because after you run any offense for many years, you can look out on the field and see what they're doing. But the slot tee is a lot like the wishbone, and people a lot of times would change their defense, kind of like the spread. And with people running the spread, you never knew exactly what defense they're going to come out in.
Right.
But when you've coached it for 25 years or so, 30 years, that you have what they're doing and what to do against that defense. So
right.
It all comes with experience.
Kenny calls that the flavor of the week defense. It's just they're just going to throw garbage at you. And
exactly.
A good friend of mine, Bo Collins, he was the head coach at Stillwell. I was there with them for a year, and we put the gun tee in, and we'd go to Kenny's clinics, and Kenny'd be like, well, here's how we run this play versus... Like, who's lining up like that, Coach? We can't get anybody to line up like that. Right? We're getting trash defense every week, and your kids have to... you just practice against garbage because that's what they're going to see on Friday night, and make them make decisions. Like, it's all on the kids. Really.
Exactly. You got to look at everything, and we try to, especially in preparation for teams that are going to give you some junk defenses. But those that stun a lot would fall into our trap because we like to block gaps, pull the guards, kick out, and get out of there. That's what we like.
Yeah, I'm a big gap scheme guy myself.
Yeah.
I'm more power counter. Kenny's more like buck sweep, and he has belly or gut play, and but they're all in the same realm. So
I'm going to trap you. We're going to trap everything.
Trap everything.
We're going to quick trap everything and tackle trap. Even 2-1s. We'll tackle trap 2-1s.
I love it, man. Well, how did you ever find yourself, and we always say recruit the hallways, get as many kids out. Did you ever find that, like, using this offense, that you lost kids? They just wanted to go play these fancy high-power offenses? Or
I think over a period of time, friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. So critics are going to accumulate over the years. And I never stayed anywhere over 5 or 6 years, They say you lose about 10% of your friends every year because you don't do this, you don't do that. You don't hire the right basketball coach. You don't buy the tennis team new uniform. So I'd always try to stay about 6 years to do the math on that. And you need to leave while you still got some friends. But I know Liberty Hill had great success, and Coach Walker just left there after many years of success. And I was kind of questioning that, and they said, well, some of the people are starting to complain about their kids don't get scholarships, they don't throw the ball enough, their kid's going to be a receiver, and those kind of some of those criticisms you get. But I always felt like the slot tee was a great equalizer on talent, and a lot of the places I went was not as talented. Alice America was not as talented as a lot of schools we had to play, but I thought it was a great equalizer. and we could always adjust our time. There was years I threw the ball a pretty good bit, People say I threw 5 times a game, and 3 I was in pregame warm-up. But sometimes I was able to have some pretty good quarterbacks and pretty good receivers.
That's a good one. 3 of them were in warm-ups. Hey, you go where the defense ain't, right? That's pretty easy concept.
Some of the biggest games I won, I never threw a pass.
I mean, we love seeing that in college, so,
Yeah, that wouldn't be acceptable nowadays.
Yeah, it'd be wild. So did you, as you were kind of adapting your offense, you talked earlier about evolving it. Was that something you had to start taking into account? You had to get a pass play in, or how did you?
Yeah, you always felt guilty about that, I need to throw the ball more. But I had some pretty special pass plays that I would watch the defense and knew when it was right to throw the ball. And I pretty well called the offense for most all of my years until about the last 3 or 4 years I coached at San Marcos. I had a coach had been with me for several years, Les Gold, and I let Les start calling the offense. And when I let him start calling the offense, I was able to stand back and watch, and I'd go over and I'd tap him on the shoulder like, this is there.
This is ready.
And and it would always be a pass play that I was able to see the secondary was really biting on some things. So it can be a balanced offense. I don't think it's ever going to be a balanced offense. That's not right, but I think you can throw the ball effectively. And I think Liberty Hill did that as well. In their state championship years, they threw the ball effectively when they threw the ball.
I think balanced offense, we don't think about that as 50-50 anymore. We just have the ability to attack someone on every play, right?
There you go.
So it is nice and balanced.
Being able to throw effectively when you throw.
That's right. That's right.
So, people you say, well, boy, you throwing the ball this year. I'd say, no, actually we're catching it. We're catching it more this year and scoring touchdowns because that makes it more noticeable.
The run, the touchdowns make it more noticeable. The run's got to set it up. Well, what do you think? Where do you think football's headed now? We got out of the phone booth, but it seems like it's coming back, right?
I don't know. I don't know. It depends. Some schools are coming back to a little bit more of a running game, and I see I've had a few more people contact me about the slot T and some of the things we do, and some people running out of the gun. But I don't know. It depends on I think the talent you have and the kids you have and the community you're in. I don't think you can just come to any community and tell them we're going to run the slot T if they've been used to throwing the ball. But if they hadn't been winning, and we're able to win the first year, so they accepted it. And I think that's what Jerry Vance did when winning Liberty Hill. Jerry Vance went and hadn't been winning, and they were able to win a couple of state championships. And so that was they identified with it. That was their offense.
Yeah,
so
a lot easier to.
That. Yep.
Wins kind of cure all that ails you, right?
Exactly. You got to win sooner or later, and the sooner the better.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Coach. Well, I don't want to keep you too much. I know that, kind of socialize and whatnot. I appreciate you taking some time and talking with us today.
Enjoy, Daniel. I always love to talk about the football, especially the wing tee, slot tee.
Absolutely. We'll get you on and talk with Kenny sometime, too. I bet we can make that work. He'd love to talk about it. So.
Thank you, Daniel.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Guys, appreciate you. If you haven't already, reach out to Ace Sports. We've got Mark Bridges is on ground here. You can see the team behind me. They're doing big things. Mark is going to be live here in about 30 minutes or so. He'll be live on the podcast, talk a little more Ace Sports. We'll talk to y'all soon. Thank you, guys.